Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, depending upon where you are. And thank you. Thank you so much for your time. And we appreciate. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all. Jai Hind, Harish. Thank you, everyone. We'll begin shortly. Good morning, Ankur. Good evening. Good evening, Rahul. Thank you, everyone. We'll give a couple of minutes to the people to join, and then we start the session. So thank you, everyone. And thank you for joining the session. Good evening, Chitwan. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining. And 1 more minute, and we start the session in 1 minute. Okay, let us begin. And before we start, let us recap what we did in the last class. So, so we'll discuss what we did in the last class. So last session was related to bill of material. What we did in the last class was related to, bill of material or BOM. What basically we did was, in the last class, we created a complex bill of material with the routes. So that is what we did in the last class. In that, we created a finished good. So like FG011 that have a raw material, we created a complex and routed bill of material in SAP, and in that basically we created a complex and routed BOM in SAP, in which we define the routes, we define stages, we define different resources and machines, we define resources labor, we put other comment text, all that. We maintain the price list for the new item. We also learn how to update the price in the BOM subsequently. We also talk about, how can we have a phantom item. Okay. So we talked about that as well. So we discussed the different aspect of the phantom item. How does the phantom item works? Okay. And so we can work with a phantom item. Phantom item is basically an item which is not a inventory item. So we talked about that also as well. Okay. Then we also did an example of a sales BOM. In the sales BOM, we created a sales material in which we create a finished good, for example, like a computer. We create a sales BOM, and we saw the expansion of sales bill of material in a sales document, like, for example, a sales order. So we did that also. So these are some of the exercises we did in the last class. So So these are some of exercises which we did. Now the next topic is about basic production processes. So what kind of a basic production processes we have in SAP? So we will be discussing and talking about these processes in SAP. Okay. So that is what we will be discussing and talking about. Then we've also learned how to add a production order, how to complete a basic production process. So we'll talk about that also. So how do we add a production order? We did that before. We're going to do it again. And then we will also talk about how do we complete a basic production process. End-to-end production process. Basic. Now, when we talk about the production process, what are the different steps, stages as per the production process is concerned? So that is what we will be discussing and talking in this particular topic. So these are the different topics we'll be discussing in this particular subject. Okay. Let's understand this. So stage number 1 is to create a production order. So the first is create. The second is release. So the next stage of the production process is release. Then the next step is issue components and resources to the production order. So how can we issue the component and resources to the production order? So that is another topic which we will be discussing and talking about. We issue now see here, they are both. We issue components and we issue resources. We issue both. If you have a both. So that basically means you consume your components and you also consume your resources. So you consume both. And last but not the least, in the end, we report completion, which basically means that we are able to report the completion of the production order process. So if we talk about the end-to-end production process, the process consists of these 4 steps: create, release, issue component and resources both, and in the last we report the completion. So what is the production order component? Production order, work order. So in SAP, what is a production order? So production order is a command to produce a production item. So this is a order on the basis of which the manufacturing or production will be carried out. So production would be carried out based upon this item. Okay. Then you say bill of material is copied into production order. Bill of material is copied into production order. So that basically means what are the BOM you have that get copied into production order. Now look at this word here. I would like you guys to make a note of this statement, which is important. Production order track all material transactions and costs. Two different things. It track all material transactions and cost. Material transaction basically means how much was my raw material, how much was my finished good, how much was my semi-finished. So we'll talk about those elements. Production order track all material transaction and cost. We can create in SAP, we can do both. I mentioned this in the past also that you can do make to order, MTO, which is make to order, or we can do MTS, which is make to stock. So make to order and make to stock, we can do both. We can work on both. Make to stock and also make to order. So we can work on both. So this is an important statement for us to understand. Make to stock and make to order. That is what we see here. So now let me go and create a production order. This is where we have a production order. And we can go to production order. And before we go to production order, we look at the BOM. We can take bill of material, which we created in the last class. So this was the bill of material we created in the last class, which has a FG011. So we close this. And then we can have FG011. So this is the bill of material we created in the last class. In that we talked about that if I'm manufacturing a wooden cabinet, in the wooden cabinet, if quantity 1, bill of material type production, we talked about bill of material type sales also. In which warehouse, we can see warehouse. We also have a production stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, so we can have multiple stages. Stage 1 we talked about, we can have a cut the plate according to cabinet manual. Resource, cutting machine. Another resource, we need operator one. We need an item. This is in order to make a wooden cabinet, I need a wooden plate. This is the wooden plate. Then we go to stage number 2. In the stage number 2, we need a resource, printing machine. We need another resource, operator 2. And then we need item. In the item, we need paint 1 kilogram. Okay, 1 kilogram. This is an example of a bill of material or BOM. I take this item FG011, I go to production order and I put here FG11. Okay. Now this is an example of creating a production order manually. So we are creating production order manually. We verified BOM, then we enter production order. So here, this is the production order. Now, if you look at the status of the production order, then its status is planned. And if you go to the bottom, this is status planned. Okay. Planned basically means this production order has been just the planned as of now. So that is what we can do. Okay. And then on the top, you will have a production order number 461. What is the date of production order? When the production order is start, when production order is due, who is the user, origin manually. Manually basically means and then it's linked to any sales order, not linked to any sales order. There is no sales order number, there is no customer. And then we add. See the message in the bottom. And we can go back to the production order. So we created a production order, and this production order is 461. Now, if I go to production order here, I want to verify a few things. I have a cutting machine. I need 2 hours. I have available 14 hours. I need operator 1. I need 1 hour and I have available 7 hours. I need wooden plate. I need 4 quantity 4. Plant quantity is this. I don't have this material. Minus. That basically means I do not have a stock of this material. If I want to go and check this material, wooden plate, and I see the inventory data, in the inventory data, there is a committed 4-hour. Committed. So what is this basically means? Committed. There is a quantity 4. There is a committed 4-hour. So that basically means when we do the production order, quantity raw material get committed. So this is an example of is important point. Commitment of raw material to production order. So that is the commitment. And this is allocation. 4 pieces got committed. So my 4 quantity wooden plate got committed. I don't have a stock. And because the stock is 0, so available become -4. So if I go back and check the available stock here, if I go to inventory data, then because in stock I have a 0. So this wooden plate RM01111 I don't have. And then committed is 4. And then it become available become -4. Okay. Become 4. So that is the committed. So this is the commitment of raw material. Now there is also, let's go to the cutting machine. So there is a cutting machine here. Now I want to go to cutting machine. And if I go to cutting machine, if I see the capacity data, I have a commitment of 3 for today. So my total capacity of this machine is 416 hours, commitment of 3, available is 413. 416 minus 3, available become 413 between this period to this period for next 1 month. Now, how the system is determining this? Okay, 2 is this. So I want to see another view of the resource capacity. So if I go to resource capacity here, and I see the cutting machine here, and I refresh, and this gives detailed view. So this machine is assigned to 2 hours on 4/5 and 1 hour on 4/7. Now this 2 hours coming from where? You see the 2 hour got committed. If I click on this 2, it will tell me that on today, April 5th, I have a production order 461. So cutting machine got committed to the production order. So my resource machine got committed to production order. So when I create a production order, that commitment happens. So this is 2 hour. There's one more. I think this is the order we created last week. If I go in here, so this is another order. This is order number 460. So order number 460, I have a commitment of 1 hour. So this machine, the total capacity of 416, I have a total commitment so far, or commitment of this machine is committed for 3 hours. Leftover is 416. So 416 minus 3, 413. 2 hour is committed on this date. 1 hour is committed on this date. Okay. So we have a 4 hour, 2 hour, and 1 hour. Okay. So that is the reason for this. That is the commitment. Now I want to see the third thing. Then I want to see operator. There is this operator one. If I go to this operator one, if I see this operator's capacity, committed is 2 hour. Total capacity of this operator is between this period to this period is 184, and leftover is 182. So 184 minus 2 left 182. Who is this resource? I can see the employee master data. His name is Deepak Garg. And if I want to see the better view, then I can go to resource capacity. I can select operator 1. I can select operator 1. I can select resource type labor, refresh, and that is what we see. So 1 hour is committed on this date, which is today. 1 hour is committed on this date. Let's look at this 1 hour. This is order number 461 we created today. We created order number 461. 1 hour got committed, and this 1 hour of this operator is committed and assigned to the 461. Now this is committed, not consumed. Keep in the mind, this 1 hour is committed, is allocated, assigned. Okay. That is what we see here. Okay. In the production order, you have different columns. Some of the important columns here, of course, the type of item, number of the item, description, base quantity, plant quantity. If you want to define any additional quantity, issued means how much actually issued. We have not issued anything. So everything is 000. How much is available? And then from here, we have something called warehouse. So we have these are the warehouse numbers. Okay. How much is in stock? So this item is in the stock paint. I have a 199. This item in stock is not there. I don't have this item. Then start date, end date. Then there is any department, work in progress account, line business, work location. And then here we can have a status. Now here we also have something called allow procurement document. You see the last column? Allow procurement document. I select that. I update. When I update this, then it opens up procurement confirmation wizard. Okay, so this is for this item F011 wooden cabinet. We go to next. Here we see that, okay, we have this item, production order 461, product number 4 FG011, status plant, product cabinet description, date, start date, due date. If I want to create a purchase order, I can create a purchase order. Quantity, copies, what is coming from there, 4 pieces. This is my document. And I hit next. System say enter the vendor, which vendor we want to buy. So we select the vendor, Acme Associate. We go to next. We go to next. We go to next. And now see here. Now we created a procurement document number 682 created for the vendor V000. That basically means we created a purchase order directly from the production order. No need. We could have created purchase order without production order also. We did that already. Now this purchase order is created from or with a reference to production order, because in the production order I don't see this item. I could have created independently also. If I go back here, I click on this purchase order. This is the purchase order. This is the vendor, name of the vendor. This is the item number, description, quantity. If I want to change the quantity, I can change quantity. 4 is coming from the production order. Quantity 4, it copies from production order. But I can decide to take more. Unit price is this. I update. Say yes. And after that, I want to do a guru sheet. So now I'm doing a guru sheet. So we did a guru sheet. Then now I want to do AP invoice or vendor invoice. And then I take a text code. And then we hit enter, add and view. Now, if I want to see a relationship map, now this is the relationship map. So now in this example, system tells me that I had a production order. This is the production order number for this item. I didn't have a raw material, and from the production order, I directly created a purchase order. And this purchase order, I did a good receipt and I did a vendor invoicing. So purchase cycle is complete. Okay, I close this boxes. I close this. I close this. I close this. I close this. I come back to my production order. Okay, now I refresh. You see there's a refresh button. Now if I refresh here, then what does system tells me? Then it tells me that, okay, I have a 4 pieces which I require. Available is 96 because I purchased 100. So 100 minus 4, available is 96 now after reducing what I need. If I go back here, if I go back to the raw material, if I see the raw material, then stock I have 100 pieces. Committed is 4 because I have a production order. So production order, when you do the production order, we do a commitment of the quantity. We saw the commitment of this quantity from sales order also when we did the sales. So if you remember, when we are doing the sales, then we saw the quantity commitment from sales also. And this is the quantity commitment from the production order. And the available is 96. So 96 pieces are left. Okay. 96 pieces are left. Okay. So in stock 100, committed minus 4, available is 96. Okay. Apart from that, everything else is available. So now everything is available. If I see available, everything is good, everything is positive. So these are the different production order rows we saw. Then after creating a production order, and then we release it. So after creating, the next stage is release to the shop floor. Now, what is the meaning of the release? Meaning of the release basically means when production order, production function will start. When production function will start, that is called release to the shop floor. So now this is the plant status. See that here on the top, it is the plant status. And then I go to release status, and it go to release status, and we update. Then we update. Okay. When we update, and this is plant quantity 1 piece. And after that, that is called create production order and release it. Release basically means when production order start the functioning. The next step and the last step is called report completion. So here we have something called issue component. So we can issue the components. Now, very important thing here is there are two things. There is a manual here. Issue method is manual, and issue is backflush. Now there are two issue method. What is the issue method basically means? So issue method, backflush, and manual. Backflush basically means when system consume quantity automatically. Manual basically means when quantity consumption is manual. We decide how much it is consumable. Manual basically means at the time of completion of the production order, I decide how much we gonna issue, because I have decided that I gonna need 1 kilogram of the paint. But did I need really 1 kilogram? Did I need maybe more than 2 or less than 1? So my planned quantity and my issue quantity could be same or could be different. If you use backflush, then you cannot change quantity. Then whatever is the planned quantity become your issue quantity. But if you select manually, then you can decide that your planned quantity and the issue quantity could be different. So that is what this basically means. And that is what we see here. So that is the two issue method. Sometimes it is confusing, backflush and manual. Now if you see here, some of them there is a backflush, some of them is, if I make it manual, I can change it here also. But the difference between manual and backflush is, in case of manual, at the time of issue, you can decide how much actual quantity need to be issued. In case of backflush, you don't have that choice. System will automatically issue the material. So you do not have a choice of selecting the quantity. That choice we don't have. So that is the difference between manual and backflush. So now I go back to issue. So the next step is perform. So we release production order. Now release production order is required because without releasing production order, you cannot do issue. And then is issue raw material or resources to production order. That is the next step. Okay. So now I have released it. I right click and I have issue component and I go to issue component here. And then now you have a choice. You want to issue stage by stage. I have two stages. I can stage 1, then I do stage 2 later on. Or I can issue for both stages together. Or you can decide whether you want to issue item or item resource both. And I say, I want item resource both. I want for both stages. So you have a choice here. So you can choose stage 1. You can choose stage 1. I only want items. Then I can choose, I want stage 2. I want stage 2. And I want only resource. So what you want to do? You have a choice. You can select. So here I select all stages. I select item and resource. So you can issue stage by stage, item by item, resource by resource, or all of them together. I want to do all of them together. And then I say hit enter. Now system is saying that wooden plate is required 4 pieces, paint is required 1 quantity. This is what is the plant. Now my plant and my could be different. So I say, no, I don't need 1. I need actually 2. So I can put 2 here. And then we add here. And then we add here. And after issue, the next stage that we report completion, that we are completing this order now. So we go to report completion. And now in the report completion, I'm getting a 1 wooden plate. I'm getting a 1 wooden plate. I get a 1 wooden plate. Now what happened? I want to see the relationship map. This is what happened. So we created a production order number 461. This is the date, this is the amount on this date. We had created a purchase order before because we didn't have a raw materials. So we created a purchase order. This is a purchase order number, date and amount. So we did that as well. Okay. And then now we basically wanted to also do something else as well, which basically means we also and now we have 2 issues. So this is receipt from production. This is from issue and issue. Okay, now let's look at receipt from production order. So we click on it. Now what does this say? This is my order number. Look at carefully. This is my completed my production order. This item has come. If I want to see the inventory of this item, then I have a 1 piece in the stock. Okay. After that, if I want to see the resources, so now I also want to go and see what happened to my resources. So I want to go to resource capacity. I want to see my operator 1. Now this operator 1 hour is consumed. So after this, my labor resource consumed, and then machine resource is also consumed. So after that, so this is consumed. Now I want to put my cutting machine. Put my cutting machine. Then I put my resource here. Hit up and I refresh. This is the cutting machine. And here we have consumed. So this resource is consumed. So now my resources, material resource, labor resource, both are consumed. Here they were committed, now consumed. And there are two issues. Why? So one more thing before I go here, receipt. So I got a finished good inventory. So what happens? We do FG receipt. And for the FG receipt, there is a journal entry. Let's understand this journal entry. So here we have this receipt of my wooden cabinet, and there's a journal entry here. If I go to journal entry, the system tells me that my stock account is debited with 969. So finish debit my, so debit my FG inventory and credit is my work in progress. If I see raw material inventory, so raw material is consumed. And in the raw material also, if I want to see the journal entry, so in the journal entry, what we see for raw material, there is a real-time integration with the finance. So if I go back, there are two issues. There is one issue here, and here wooden plate and paint has been consumed, planned 4 and 1, issued 4 and 2. So that basically means I plan the paint 1 kilogram, but I consume 2 kilogram. If I want to see the journal entry, there is a journal entry here also. In this journal entry, my stock of raw material is credited. So here, credit my raw material inventory because raw material is consumed. So it is credited. And debit my raw material, my work in progress account. So ultimately, my finished good inventory is debited because it has come into the door, and my raw material invoice is credited because this has been issued. Okay. So that is what we do in the system. That is how system behaves and works in the cycle. Okay. That is what we see report completion. We saw that inventory committed. We saw the commitment of inventory and component and finished good inventory. And then we saw that. Okay. So this is what basically we were planning to do. One more thing which I wanted to show. One more thing which I want to. So this is the end-to-end cycle in which we enter the production order. We issue the production order. We did the issue of the component. Then we did the FG finish entry. We verify the journal entries. We verify the journal entry. Now, let's create a sales order. So I close it. Okay. Now, if I go to sales order, and this is the sales order, I select my customer. I enter that item FG011. Then I enter my quantity. So let's enter the quantity 2 pieces. Now, this is what happens. Now, what does this basically means? This window telling me that this item, wooden cabinet, I require in this warehouse, quantity ordered is 2, on this date, available is 1. Because I only made 1, customer required 2. What should I do? Say, okay. We say add and delete. So we added the order. If I want to see the inventory of the finished good, and then here, system says in stock, I have a 1 piece, committed is 2 piece. And I say, hit, I close this window, close this window. Now, for this item, I go to logistics and I click on this pick your non-drip item. Say yes. I hit update button. Again, it opens up the procurement confirmation wizard. I go to the next step. I go to the next. System saying that I need this material, I need quantity 2. Do I want target document is a production order? I say next. I say next. I say next. Now production order 462 created. So now system has created a production order. Now this production order has been created from sales order. That is why here system says link to the sales order, link to the sales order 755, link to the customer C002. Quantity order 2. And then we say, okay, release it. We released it. After release, we do issue the component. So we issue the component. And then we report completion. We have done. This was an example of a make to order. In this case, we created a production order from the sales order. And it linked that to a sales order number. And I close this. I go back to my sales order now. I want to check my inventory of finished good. I see the inventory data and I have a in stock 3 pieces. Committed is 2 pieces because I have a sales order 2 piece and I available one now. So that is the whole situation. This is an example of creating a production cycle. We did both make to order, make to stock scenario. And with that, thank you. And we will talk tomorrow. Thanks. So thank you very much. And we will discuss a talk tomorrow. Thank you.